I'm known fairly widely, and the national polling data, and particularly those states, show me in very good shape. Doesn't mean that lasts. It just means that we are already known, number one. And number two, you saw what the amount of money being spent by the other billionaire in the race, and so far it's sort of been, well, we'll see.
Presidential candidate Joe Biden responding to Mayor Pete Buttigieg's early success in Iowa as the former vice president kicks off his bus tour in the Hawkeye State. Let's bring in our political panel. Brad Blakeman, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush, and Joel Rubin, former Obama administration deputy assistant secretary of state and Democratic strategist. Gentlemen, welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Joe Biden on his 8-day no malarkey bus tour of Iowa. Joel, will that stir up some enthusiasm for him?
Yeah, Mike, I think it will. And I think Democratic enthusiasm overall is very high, very strong. And so for Joe Biden, he's going to try to capitalize on that message that he's the one that can defeat Donald Trump. That's a unifying message for Democrats. He can get into the details about health care and the economy and how to fight for America abroad as well. But at the end of the day, he's going to pitch that he's the one in the general election who can galvanize the voters. And he has a strong record to lean on in that instance. And I think that that's going to resonate well.
Brad, Biden seems to be someone Democratic voters are comfortable with, but not necessarily passionate about. Is that your read? And does no malarkey sound like it's out of the 1950s?
I would say it's the 1920s. That's when the term became fashionable. Nobody knows what it is. It certainly dates Joe Biden. And I think that's the problem. There's also an enthusiasm gap in somebody who's been in public life for decades. I mean, Walmart's Black Friday in Waterloo, Iowa, had bigger and more enthusiastic crowds than Joe Biden, and that's just the way it is.
Then there's Elizabeth Warren. Take a look at these numbers. She has dropped from 28 to 14 in the Quinnipiac poll and from 19 to 14 in the CNN poll. She says she doesn't do polls, but Joel, that must be alarming to some on her team, right?
Well, it's not a good day when the polls are going down, certainly. And I think that she's experiencing now the damage from her health care positioning, which has been shifting a bit from the base. And this shows that ultimately the base really needs to be committed to the individual and in love with that candidate. And that is going to help Bernie Sanders as well heading forward. But for Joe Biden, he can point to health care, which is the issue that has really tripped up Elizabeth Warren, and say, look, I'm the guy who got through the Affordable Care Act. I'm the one who knows how to get this done right and really create a more comprehensive message. And it's true. People aren't rallying at the public rallies for Biden in the same way they are for other candidates, for Pete and for Elizabeth Warren. But that doesn't mean that enthusiasm isn't high. We're seeing him consistently pull at the top.
Brad, is it Warren's plan for health care, and did the price tag of it blow up her campaign?
No doubt. Sticker shock, $40 trillion. By the way, I know Democrats hate billionaires, but there aren't enough billionaires to pay for all their free stuff. Health care, free education. I think the voters, it's sinking in. Those numbers are just unimaginable. They can't believe those numbers. And quite frankly, they understand that the middle class is going to get hit with a tax on their socialist program. So it's soundly being rejected.
There's been some...
But Mike... If I can add, though, I think Americans do want quality health care, and they've seen this administration strip it away, offer no new alternatives, cut Medicare. We've seen people kicked off health care with nothing to show for Donald Trump's plan. So Americans do want to see good health care.
Obamacare is broken. It was supposed to be fixed. And you guys didn't do it.
In 2018, Democrats got 10 million more votes in House races running on health care.
All right, well, there's been some buzz about the possibility of 4 different candidates winning the first 4 states: Buttigieg, Iowa; Warren, New Hampshire; Biden, South Carolina; and Sanders, Nevada. Joel, would that be good for Democrats or chaos?
Well, a little of both. It's definitely a lot of chaos, and the question of a broker convention looms out there. But when we have such a diverse, engaged field, it impacts the voters. And the Democrats are getting out to many new voters, and their reach is long and extensive. And this is only going to build for a stronger general election turnout. But certainly in the near term, there are no party bosses behind the scenes pulling the strings. So it is a little chaotic, absolutely.
Brad, if no one has momentum in that scenario, does that create an opportunity for Michael Bloomberg on Super Tuesday, March 3rd?
It could. Ordinarily, planting your flag in South Carolina would be a death knell. But if the scenario plays out in places like New Hampshire and Iowa and Nevada, where there are different winners, then yes, Michael Bloomberg isn't late to the race, and he's got a lot of money. The question is, will he ever get on a debate stage? Because he has to show some groundswell of support, not only in donations, but also in polling.
I've also been cautioned to not predict that Mayor Pete will definitely win Iowa, that Iowans could change their mind, and so we'll let them decide. But a fascinating discussion, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Mike.